What's up, everybody? It's Goddess Z, and I'm here with another episode on Holistic and Spiritual AF. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If this is your first time tuning into this podcast, be sure to hit that like, that follow, that subscribe, depending on what platform you're on. If you're into topics such as healing, metaphysics, the divine feminine, ancestral wisdom, we talk about all of that over here, okay? We talk about anything that has to do with the mind, body, spirit integration, because I always say, if either one of those things are out of balance, then we are out of balance, and we definitely don't want that. Okay, so be sure to hit those buttons if that's what you're into. And once again, this podcast drops every Friday now, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and can be found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, pretty much anywhere that podcasts are being syndicated. And yeah. That's pretty much it. That's enough about me. You can also find all my information as well as today's guest information down in the description. And if you guys are coming back, welcome back, fam. I appreciate you all. I'm appreciating all the comments that we're getting now. People talking about how much these podcast episodes are helping them, and I really, really appreciate that. So keep them coming because that's what it's all about: is being able to create a space where people can access information that can help them on their journey depending on what part of the journey you're on. There's a little something for everybody. So I appreciate y'all. And the podcast is growing like crazy. Okay. So today's guest, you definitely don't want to miss. This is episode 58. And I'm going to be sitting down with the powerful warrior goddess Luanda. And we're going to be talking about duality of forces and the warrior goddess, walking in purpose and power. Okay. Luanda is a warrior goddess and a warrior spirit known to many as Lu. She's dedicated to helping others embody balance through the physical, mental, and spiritual aspects of self. As a self defense coach and a holistic guide, she teaches that true protection begins within. Through her work, she inspires others to awaken their higher selves and walk their path with awareness and purpose. Today, we're going to be talking about the duality. Wow, okay, the duality of forces we all wrestle with, healing the roots of spiritual illness, spiritual awakenings that transform our paths, and embodying higher awareness through mind, body, and spirit. Okay, so you definitely want to tune in all the way because this sis is a true warrior goddess. Okay, and she's doing amazing things out in the community with self defense coaching as well as holistic coaching. I'm also going to have her information down in the description, so you'll make sure that you want to check that information out because she's got two classes actually coming up really, really close. One at the end of October and one at the beginning of November. So be sure to check it out. And with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and slide into today's episode. All right. So thank you so much, Lou, for joining me on this podcast episode. I know that my audience is going to really be vibing with you. Okay. I have definitely vibed with you before this recording, and you seem like a real down to earth. You're close locally. But most importantly, you are doing some amazing work out there in the spiritual community
Absolutely.
on a protection, defense, but just all well rounded
Mhm.
variety of things. So you're into awakenings, healing, of course, which is such a broad subject. We could talk about that all night.
You're right.
Twin flames, duality, and spiritual illness.
Mm.
Okay, so tell me how the journey got started for you. Just walk me through like how it started and how you knew you needed to do these things.
Well, I'm spirit led, I should say, and it didn't. It always. I've always had my. Well, for a while, I had my spiritual covering. So as I was journeying, I'm actually a self defense coach. So, and I always put self in bold letters because I cover self defense from a physical, mental, and spiritual aspect of it all. So when I speak spirituality, I'm speaking protection, covering all angles, right? So how it got started is people always ask me. I deal with guns, right? I'm a certified firearms instructor, and I incorporate, spirituality, that space, into what I do. So when I got started, people always ask, "Well, how did you get started? Were you in the military? Were you?" And it was none of that. I used to make up a story because I felt like I had to have a story until clarity and things, life happens, and then it was like, you know what? I was led here. Like spirit put me in this position. So even when I picked up the gun and I started training, I was just kind of like on autopilot. Like it wasn't me. I was just doing. And then as I started growing and I grew with everything around me. It opened up everything else spiritually. So it was kind of like the catalyst into myself. And at first, I thought I was just showing up to teach women how to protect themselves, but in all actuality, it was like a metaphor for me protecting myself. So that's pretty much in a nutshell how it got started, how I come here, how I arrived, I should say here.
I love that. I always ask everybody at the beginning because it's so different and it's amazing how spirit and people's ancestors show up for them in
Yeah,
ways that only they're going to be able to get whatever's necessary for them to
yeah,
get. And I love how you talked about the threefold of protection. You talked
yeah,
about the physical, spiritual, and I'm going to say mental and emotional,
yeah.
because having that
That's
peace
it.
of mind and that security of knowing that you're protected
Right, right.
helps like on an overall kind of like holistic way. So that's why
Yeah,
I was talking about earlier. I was like, okay, I feel like that part's missing, because I know that I'm spiritually protected and I know how to
yeah,
protect myself spiritually. That was one of the first things that my ancestors taught me. But
yeah.
yeah, having that physical component, as women as well. And you said that kind of led you on your spiritual like awakening, would you say?
Yeah, it was part of it because my ancestors love my weapons. So every time I pick up my knives or my guns, like I get, that spiritual shiver you get, I
Mhm.
get it. But what led me to it is I was in an environment, I was in a space, not just a physical environment, but also a mental environment where I needed to show up for myself. But I wasn't breaking through. I felt it, but I wasn't seeing it. I wasn't understanding it. And spirit used that environment, used that physical aspect of like firearms and knives, used that in order to get my attention because I
Mm,
am a warrior spirit. So it was like that was the
yes.
only way that was going to get my attention. So every time, even now, every time I step on the range, it's like I transform. I connect deeply with spirit and I hear, right? I get a lot of downloads when I'm shooting. I get a lot of downloads when I'm, throwing knives, when I'm handling my guns, my knives, my weapons. I'm always tapped in. So it my awakening, the environment that I was in, right? Because when you're talking, like traumatic experiences, sometimes we can be in traumatic experiences and not know because we have the fog around us, right?
Mhm.
So I always felt unsafe and I never felt protected and I didn't understand why. So spirit showed up and started showing me why. Started showing me, like enemies around me, like people that
Mhm.
wanted to harm me. And it was right in my face, in my home. So I was being prepared, to fight. And my ancestors showed up in preparation to fight to break me free of, what it was that I was in. So that's what led to the awakening. And it wasn't just the awakening from that traumatic experience, but it goes back so far, because we start unpacking life,
Yep.
and that's what happened. I started unpacking and things just started happening and it was like my spiritual journey was this and then it was this and then it was like it just broke free.
I love
Yeah.
it.
So
I
yeah.
love that. And I always tell people to connect with their own ancestors first
Yeah,
because they're
yeah,
going to guide you on your specific path. Like you're very
absolutely.
much a warrior goddess. I got that right away. Like I got that watching your videos on TikTok. I was like, this is a for real warrior goddess. And I
Yes,
love
I
that.
am.
And I was like, just watching you empowered like that, like
Yeah,
in every element of your life, like embodying sovereignty, like
yeah,
a woman who knows herself, like is not to be messed around with, like
right.
that was very empowering to see. So
Thank you.
and I think that it would take a certain like I'm on the healer side of things, priestess side of things. So I
Mhm.
had to do a lot of healing of generational trauma,
Yeah,
like in order for me to get what it is that I was supposed to be doing over
yeah,
here. So it's very interesting to see how a warrior goddess would have her awakening, as well as like when you talked about having downloads when you shooting. That's wild.
Yep. Yep.
That's wild. Like, so like, what do you do after that? Do you like just like go journal after you get done shooting, or what
No,
do you do? Just
I process.
yeah,
I
that's what I was gonna
processed
say.
for a while. I didn't know. It wasn't clear. Clarity just started to come, and then I started to understand, and I was like, wait a minute, and then from my ancestors, I got, because my background is hoodoo, but I
Okay.
always say I'm hoodoo. I know we on the podcast, but how's can I curse? Because
Yeah,
I
this
want to be able to
holistic
be
and
myself.
spiritual
Okay.
AF.
So like I'm right. So I'm my background is hoodoo, but the Orishas fuck with me. And
Yeah.
they were they came to me. So through my ancestors, I knew nothing about it. I just knew what was happening. And
Mhm.
then, my ancestors would just lead me in the right direction. And I would start to see similarities and I would start to get the downloads on where I'm at with it and the energy that I carry and why and what I'm supposed to do with it. And it was just like, boom. So my downloads all come from, I get downloads on the range when I'm dealing with my weapons in water. If I'm
Mhm.
by a body of water, I am wide open.
I love it.
So yeah, that's why I'm free. I'm not I always say I'm initiated by the Most High.
Yes,
And that's my initiation because I am very free in every aspect of the word, when it comes to the spiritual space. And it's to the point where even using spiritual space, I
I
get
know.
tired of saying that because those spaces are, as above, so below. So it's
Yeah.
like, it's one of those things.
I love that. Yeah, and I'm a hoodoo girl too. And yeah, and I love that for me too because it
Yes.
allows me the expansion, to be
Right.
able to, do a little this and to do a little that.
Yes.
And I did have a little bit of experience with the Yoruba tradition,
Mhm.
but for me, my ancestors wanted me to go a different route. They was like, you go individually, take what you need. I still have friends, that are a part of the culture, but for
Mhm.
me, my walk, I needed to have a certain level of freedom as well,
Yeah.
and I'm grateful for that.
I
I'm
am
grateful for
too.
that.
Yeah.
Because the journey just it never quits. Like I said, I'm excited to get to this other place, like what you
Yeah.
talking about. I'm like, yes, I want that. Like it's time
Yeah.
for that. I've
We
healed a
can't
whole
be
lot.
boxed in, and it's not
Right.
boxed in. Everyone has their place. I truly
Hmm.
believe that,
Yep.
in their comfort level. And some spirits are here on a different mission and
Right.
need that space to be able to be everywhere, and that's what it is. I've even sat with, Babas and they tell me
Hmm.
like, yeah, you're not supposed to do this. And I'm like, thank you for your
Right.
honesty because I know
Exactly.
this. You can get caught up, but yeah.
Yeah.
I love that for you too. And I love it for me
Yeah.
for sure.
And I love how you talked about getting major downloads with the large bodies of water. Large bodies
Yeah,
of water instantly calm me.
yeah,
Fire. Fire
yeah,
is what set me in a
yes.
trance. My ass would be in a trance so fast. Like
Yeah,
I'd be like, wow,
yeah.
something that and the African drums with fire, forget about it. Like
Oh
I'm gone.
man,
Like
listen. Yep,
yes. So
yep,
you probably tapped into African drumming too, for sure.
yep.
That kind of goes with the warrior
Yeah, I
spirit.
do drumming. I've
Oh,
it's
nice.
funny because the djembe drums, I learned how to do that in 2023. I
Okay.
started drumming and the way I tapped in, like we would
Mhm.
be on the beach doing it and it was an amazing experience, but I connected through it through someone dear to my heart. And he's the one who introduced me to it. And the connection was out of this world. Out of
I
this
bet.
world.
Yeah, there's something about them drums. Them drums
Yeah,
ain't no joke. That
no
truly is.
joke.
Yeah, that truly is a connection to the spirit realm.
Yes.
Um, yes. Well, I'm so glad that you are actually teaching other people. So once you had your awakening and you started, learning protection for yourself, when did you know it was time to take that out and expand it to other women?
Well, when I got into it, I didn't know. So awakenings are funny because awakening, you can be in an awakening for years,
Hmm.
right? You can be in an awakening for a long time. So while I was journeying in these things, I could say supernatural things were happening, and I was really coming to a place of understanding. I was already doing the work. So I was doing classes, I was already hosting classes,
Yeah.
and I've always been known to, have my spiritual self. Everybody knew Lou was about her ancestor life. I was always there, but it came to a point in time where while I was doing the classes, right, no one knew, of course, no one knows what's going on behind the scenes, but I was battling real life. So while
Yeah.
I was, out training women and putting not only just women but men in position to be able to protect themselves, I was in a position where I needed to protect myself the most, right?
Mhm.
So, and I didn't see it, I didn't understand it yet, so it was kind of like this spell that popped. Like, you're talking karmic relationships. I was in a marriage that was eating me alive, right? And I didn't understand what was happening, I didn't understand what was going on. I just knew my ancestors was like, you got to go. Right? It was
Mhm.
just constant, like, you got to leave. And I was just kind of so confused. But as things start unfolding, it was like, okay, I need to, everything that I've learned, I need to apply, right? And I was able to apply it to be able to protect myself, and not physically, but on the more, it's spiritual warfare all around when you're dealing with
Yep.
certain types of spirits, right? So not realizing and now understanding why, and super grateful for it. Sometimes we don't know who we are, right? Until we realize who's trying to attach themselves to us, right? So once I had my awakening is one thing, but what the awakening that I've experienced was that got me to where I am today was I had a Kundalini awakening followed by what they would call the dark night of the soul, which
Mhm.
was, I thought I wasn't even going to make it out of that. No,
I
I'm
know,
not even
right?
going to hold you.
I know. I know.
I don't ever
This is
want
the
to go
work,
through
y'all.
that again. And listen, I had no idea what any of this meant.
Right.
So it's not like I was looking for it. I wasn't anticipating it. I was just doing the work. I was just trying to get myself together. I was doing the meditations. I was doing the cleansing. And sometimes I was doing cleanses, not even sometimes, most of the times, I was doing things that I didn't even know why I was doing it, because I'm spirit led. So
Yep.
spirit would show up, my ancestors would show up, like, do this. I'm putting herbs together. I'm growing things
Yep.
out of the craziest. I mean, I never even had a green thumb. Now I could touch dirt, and it's something's going to grow from it. So I'm going through all of these experiences and had no idea what a Kundalini awakening, what a dark night of the soul. I had no idea what any of that was. So when it happened, I honestly thought that that was in it for me. I honestly thought that I was going to die, and when I came out of that, coming out of that, I'm not even going to say when I came out of that, because I know when you experience those types of awakenings, you're in a constant state of awakening, right? So it's not like, oh, that's a part of my life, that's over. Like, no, it's happening, right? You can't unsee it, you can't unknow it. So now where I'm at today is my mission is deeper, my intentions are deeper. So the way I show up in full spirit, and I take full responsibility
That's
for,
right.
how I operate in this system, and not only in this system, but even in the spiritual realm.
That's right.
Because, my higher self is gang, you know what I
Right.
mean? So that's now it's serious. Now my my mission is so laser focused. So when I'm speaking, I am speaking from every part of me, and really trying to enlighten and really trying to speak from a place of clarity. So there's people out there that don't know what's going on or
Right.
don't understand. So it's like when I didn't even want to speak. Sometimes I'll get a download and the ancestors is like, put it out there, and
Yep.
I have to speak because there's someone that's gonna listen, that's gonna hear me, and the message is directly for them. Even when I open up myself to be able to train women to shoot, to train women with weapons, I'm not just training them physically. They're being trained mentally. They're being
That's
trained,
true.
with everything. Because to be able to even carry a firearm, you have to have your mental intact.
That's
You
right.
have to, you have to be able to be in a position to protect yourself mentally first. Because sometimes when you even think about having to use your firearm, like dealing with let's say a woman that comes to me and she's in a home that's not safe, domestic abuse, physical abuse, right? First, we need to unpack how did this even happen, right? To get
Right.
this far, and let's make sure it's not going to happen again. So it's so much bigger than being able to just pull out a gun or
That's
pull out a
right.
knife and use it.
That's powerful.
Yeah,
That's really deep, the work that you do. And it's
yeah,
very impactful. And like you said, with that threefold protection, it's still healing work.
yeah,
It's still healing work. And like you talked about, you got to be sharp mentally to be
yeah,
handling a gun. That's why honestly it didn't come up for me until now. Because before, when I wanted one, everybody was like, "You don't need no gun. You too
right,
crazy." Like seriously, like
right.
you are not right in the head. And I still had a lot of healing to do. Like
Hmm.
honestly, and I'm grateful for that because looking back, I'm like, I probably would have been dangerous with
Yeah,
one, but I'm in a different space now, in a different headspace, and I feel like it's time. But the fact that you're working with women that need that protection and you're
hmm,
helping them to become empowered, I
yeah,
really like that. I think that's very powerful work.
yeah, it is.
And then also it's very important to have a woman doing it.
Yeah.
Um, very important. And I think another aspect of it too, because I talk a lot about the divine feminine,
Hmm.
and with the rise of that, a lot of us have had to be protectors, as well.
Hmm.
And I think it's important for us to start to go ahead and start embodying that aspect of it,
Hmm.
the protection physically, as
Yes.
well, because we just haven't been getting it for a variety of reasons, whatever, generational trauma, whatever. And that's just the way it is inside of my family. Like there really isn't any sacred masculine.
Hmm.
Um, it's just all women running it, and that's how
Right.
it has always been. So I think about that too a lot. So I think that's very impactful. So talk to me a little bit about, because this is what the videos were that I saw when you were talking about the spiritual protection.
Hmm.
Yes, break that down for me, like how you practice that, how you teach people about that.
Right. So spiritual protection first is awareness, right? You have to be aware of what it is you need to protect first and foremost, right? So why are we protecting ourselves, right?
Hmm.
Even if you say you want a gun for what? Just in case someone tries to, unalive me, someone tries to do something to me, someone tries to rape me, whatever the case is. Okay, so now the question is, why is your life so important? Right? That you have to protect it. Oh, well, I have to be here for my kids. Well, I have to be here for that. Okay, so if you didn't have your kids, would you still feel like you needed to protect your life? So what's the big picture? Like what is that? Right? So just really understanding your purpose, right? Even if you don't truly understand your purpose, but understanding your divine power, like why you're
Hmm.
here. Everyone is here for a reason,
That's true.
right? And when it comes to spiritual protection, you are going to need to protect yourself from evildoers in all different types of ways before physical. The
I know that's
chances of
right.
me using my firearm is unlikely compared to me protecting myself against someone that's trying to attach themselves to me, to manipulate me, to control me, to try to siphon from me, right?
Yes.
Because it's real. Energy vampires are very real, right? And so much is in play to say, oh, no, no, it's not. No, they're very real.
Very
Demons
real.
are real, like they're very real. Like I've seen them. And knowing when you know what they can do, because they make the movies and everything to try to honestly distort our mind. That's a form of gaslighting on its own, to try to
Hmm.
make us feel like, oh, that's not real, or that's not real. No, it's very much real. So you have to be able to protect yourself against the spirits that are roaming, which is a lot, right? From from attaching to you to the point where they can derail you from life, and
Hmm.
not only just derail you from life. We are experiencing now, I don't know if people are paying attention, but even when it comes to schizophrenia, that is at an all-time high. And now I'm seeing even videos and certain doctors out that's trying to all of a sudden, talk about it and give medication. But a lot of times those are spiritual attacks that
Yep.
can look like, some type of mental illness or schizophrenia, having
Hmm.
manic episodes. A lot of times those are people experiencing awakenings, but they having a psychosis, psychotic breakdowns, because they weren't grounded. So spiritual protection is being able to ground yourself, right? So that you are able to be strong in those areas,
Yep.
be able to catch the downloads, understand them, being able to use discernment. We need discernment in the physical realm and in the spiritual realm,
Yep.
right? Because it is true.
Yep.
Many things are orchestrated in the spiritual realm and played out in the physical realm. And if you're not grounded, you could get the two messed up. You could
You
get the
sure
two
can.
confused. You can be in between realms. And then it looks like you're having these episodes, and a lot of people don't make it from that. They take themselves out, so we're dealing with so much, especially now, right? With so much being open, rose colored glasses are off. So just really tapping in and being intentional with your protection, and that looks like, people could say, self-care, right? It looks like I truly believe in tapping into nature. I use nature for everything.
Yes. Yes.
I'm using herbs. I'm using the
Mhm.
energy from the sun. I'm using the energy from the moon. I'm using the energy from the ocean. I'm at the river. I'm grounding. I have my feet in the ground, right? Getting all of the electric, all everything that's coming through me. And that's how I power up. And that's how in meditating. I tell
Yep.
people all the time, take the time out,
Yep.
to meditate. It doesn't always look like you just, even if you wake up and you're in the bed and you take it 5 intentional minutes just to tap in with yourself, listen to yourself. Eventually you're going to hear spirit speaking. And spirit, once you get to the point where you can break through and you're listening to your higher self, my ancestors, they used to be around me all the time and
Yep.
they're still here, but I don't speak to them as much anymore after my awakening because I'm so connected to my higher self. And that was the whole goal, to get me to where I can trust myself and I can have that faith and understand, okay, this is what's happening. When my intuition go off, okay, I take a step back, I pause, let me pay attention, let me observe, right? And that's what honestly spiritual protection looks like. It's not always what we see on TV or or the dramatics,
The
right?
candles and the
Yeah,
people.
and look,
Like I know I got a
and I
black one
have
over
my
there.
candle,
I
right?
got
And
a
just got
black
some,
one over there. We had to
right.
do
I
some
have,
work.
and I do, and see, and that's the thing. See, I want to touch on that because I don't have to, but when you're doing the work and you're being
Mhm.
intentional, the energy that you put into connecting with spirit, that's the energy that you're going to get. So you
Yes.
have to do the work. Now, am I going to say, look, you have to do this and you have to do that? And no, because listen, you can tap in just by yourself. Yes, you can meditate, but as time goes on and you hearing those downloads, you're going to get the urge to, let me light this candle. You may even be at the store and a white candle may be looking at you like, and you may feel something like, I don't know, I'm just getting this candle, because that's how spirit moves, right? And it's all about our intention, on how we do things. Look, evil people light candles too.
Yep,
you
they
know
sure do. They
they
have
do work
altars too.
too. Yeah, they have altars too. As above, so below. They do all the same things.
Yes.
So it's
That's
not
yep.
like just because I'm burning candles and I'm doing this, that all of a sudden makes, that's why discernment is important. It makes
Yep.
me, oh, good, or make me, doing this no, no, no. Right? Demons do the same thing. Right? Light, dark,
Yep.
we're all spiritual.
It's
They do
all a
the same
spiritual
exact
realm. It's just different
exactly.
different
It's all
dimensions of it.
about intention. That's all it's about. It's about intention and how you utilize that energy, because the energy for me is going to be the same energy for you, for them, for whoever, is how we use it. So spiritual protection is you being tapped in, you being aware, you being intentional on how you're showing up for yourself, right? And yeah, that's what it is. And if you're on the right side of the coin, that means you're able to self-reflect, right? That means you hold yourself accountable, right? Empathy, for sure. You have self-compassion, right?
Mhm.
And you're able to have real authentic empathy. You're able to tap in and understand what that feels like. And that's important.
It
It's
is.
important for us.
It's crucial. I love that. I love how you incorporate it in everything, not just the candles, not just the protection side of it, but all the
Yeah.
many little pieces that keep you protected. That's the
Yeah.
thing. And I always talk about, it doesn't have to be super, advanced and super like tricked out. I do it in the shower.
Yeah,
While I'm
great.
while the shower water's running, it's the
Yeah.
intention of cleansing and clearing. Sometimes I do other stuff. I have a
Yeah.
different. I got a toolkit now, and like
Right.
you said, just being tapped in, and that keeps me protected. And then I always talk about being in a spiritual warfare. That's what this is. This is a
Yes.
spiritual warfare, and the more you expand your light body, the more
Mhm.
you got to protect. That's how I learned about protection. My healing guides, they taught me when working with other people with healing to protect
Mhm.
myself, make sure I'm not taking on their stuff, not putting on my stuff.
Right.
And that was all I knew about protection. And then, of course, when I was doing divination, how to open and close and stuff like that,
Mhm.
I didn't realize that other people was going to come after me. That's how I ended up learning about spiritual protection, is that
Yep.
I was being attacked. I was
Yep.
constantly getting my ass kicked all over the place, being light, 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 light.
Yep.
I had to even it out because I was like, I'm tired of like being on this end. Like people was
Mhm.
tearing my ass up all over the
Yes, they
place. And
yep, I've been there.
yeah, and then finally
I've
I
been
was
there.
like, universal law is you don't have to
Yep.
you don't have to be a punching bag and just take stuff. You can
No.
defend yourself, like so, and that's what I started learning. I started learning how to protect myself. I started
Yes.
learning how to send things back, return the sender, go ahead, we don't want that. You
Absolutely.
can take that back,
Yep.
all of those different things. And then of course it started as I got into hoodoo, like you talked about, I got into
Mhm.
the herbs and candles and doing regular stuff on a regular basis, like
Right.
even cleansing my house. Like,
Yep.
and my ancestors, they stay in my ear with that. They be like, listen,
Mhm.
when you gonna wash them floors? Like it's
Right.
they be like, you got I know they like, are you wondering why you going through this at work,
Mhm.
And I'm like, yeah, I
Yep.
got it. I got it. I washed them floors the other day and I put my,
Mhm.
my herbs in there and my intention and the stuff that I do,
Yeah.
But
And it works.
it
It
works.
works. It
It
does.
works.
And it's like it's not something that I broadcast, but look, I can make a spiritual water that does wonders. I've done it. I have, I never say students were like clients, and it's like I'm even shocked. I'll never not be um how can I say this? I'll never be uh just I guess normal when things happen, like supernatural things happen. Like even to this day, when I do things and you see the benefit or you see something like even supernatural happens, I'm always in awe. I'm
Mhm.
always still like I'm always blown away every single time, and it's like it works when you're tapped in. Hoodoo is nature,
It
right?
is.
We are nature. So
Mhm.
when you're tapped into nature and you're able to right really flow with the frequency of it, and you see you're able to move it, not manipulate it, but move it, it's an amazing feeling.
It
It's an
is.
amazing feeling. I was at the lake doing work a couple of weeks ago for someone, and we was actually doing a channeling a kundalini energy for someone, and a snake, a big water snake, never seen one in my life, just started coming out of the water. And then she jumped and I looked and I'm like, and then it sat there for like a minute. The head was just out the water watching us. And I just was like, listen, I was so happy that I was with a client, because I was like, if I would have told somebody this, they wouldn't believe me.
Right.
I was like, and I just kept doing my thing, and it was like, I'll never, when you're tapped in, you feel it,
Yeah.
you feel the vibration. It's like I always say, it feels like a spiritual orgasm.
Mhm.
Probably know what I'm talking about. It's a
Yep.
shiver that you get. And I love that feeling, and I love because it lets me know that I'm on the vibration of nature, on the vibration of what even creates what we're in right now. It creates life. It creates, this system, and I'm a womb holder.
Me too.
So that alone is you can't go wrong with that. So
No, of course
you
not.
know, and like you said, you will be attacked. I was attacked on so many different levels, but I was supposed to be. I if I wouldn't have been attacked, then I wouldn't have known you have to get attacked in order to learn how to fight back.
Facts.
you know,
Yeah.
so I'm so grateful for it. And it kicked my ass too. I
Right.
was like, man, what is
They
going
was
on?
like that you just kept getting slapped, kept getting
Right,
punched.
yeah. I was like,
Like when
I
she
was
gonna
like,
fight
yes, this
back?
is if y'all don't like me, like let me know, like what's good. And it was like just left and right. I was getting beat down, and I
Mhm.
just couldn't. I was like, I just don't understand what's going on. Like I was just
They was
done.
like, "You a warrior, get up."
Right, get your ass up.
They was
Right,
like,
like
"What
if
you
you don't
doing?"
get your ass up,
Yeah.
and it was just really like that. Even in the relationship I was in, and I was in this relationship, I got caught in the love spell for over 2 decades. Right. So when it was time for me, when I learned, because it was karmic for me to learn that, when I tell you the way spirit showed up, I'm doing the moon rituals, I'm doing everything. And the way they showed up, having me I'm growing my own herbs, right?
I
Not
love it.
knowing why I'm growing this stuff. And they have me doing chopping and doing all of this stuff and making things that really lifted like spells, lift, and
Yep.
and I was just like, what? And it wasn't me. I was being led. It was like
Mhm.
I was on autopilot. I was seeing it happen, but it was like I was on the inside of my body looking out. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah,
And
it
it
was
was
the
just like,
remembrance
yeah,
too.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we need that protection, and people just don't understand how important it is to be tapped in to self, right?
Yes.
Because this universe, the most high, everything is in us, right? So you think about, they talk about, oh, heaven or whatever, all of that is in us, and being able to
Mhm.
tap into that, that's what protection looks like, right? And then when it comes to my guns and my knives, because I keeps that's protecting my vessel,
Right.
and that's what it is.
It is, and you need all that. And I love how you talked about the herbs and just how the ancestors
Yeah.
show up and guide. And that probably was one of the I think I got into and started practicing hoodoo consciously
Mhm.
in 21.
Mhm.
And boy, did I need it at that time too. This was another thing. I was in Atlanta, it's a whole nother story, but it was the same kind of concept. I was
Yeah.
doing hoodoo every single day straight, like really into it, like
Yeah.
dedicating like anywhere between 2 and 3 hours a day, just doing different stuff.
Mhm.
And I got into the herbal realm, and I was just that was such a beautiful
Oh,
rekindling. Like the just working with the herbs is something that's indescribable.
so
It's like a yeah,
indescribable.
you have to like it's just
Oh
a
man.
telepathic relationship we
It
got.
is. It
Like I don't have to
is.
say nothing, I be
It's
quiet.
nothing.
And
Nothing.
and
And
they just
listen.
move, and then my ancestor, they started showing up in my food,
Yeah.
like the way I cook my food. I was like,
Yeah.
"What? I'm the best." I got everybody beat. My mama,
Yeah.
my sister, my daughter catching up,
Yeah.
but yeah,
It's
it
amazing.
was a beautiful relationship. It's hard to describe. Like I always say it's like a old friend that you haven't seen in a long time that
Yeah.
just came back and you get to be around again. So yeah, but I love how they showed up with you and you was over there making potions and stuff and they
Listen,
was like, "You gonna need this."
and still, my plants let me tell you, my plants are, that's my team, because I only have my tribe is my
Mhm.
spirit team. And if I'm not doing well, you can tell in my plants. I
That's
can
true.
always, if I'm not paying attention, and if I'm not being conscious on how I'm feeling, I can glance at my plants and they'll tell me. And I'll be like, oh, I can see they'll start being droopy. They look like they're like lethargic, like they're
Mhm.
not being fed, right? And I know that I need to feed myself spiritually. So my plants speak to me.
I
I
love
can
it.
have a energy come in and that's not right. And my plants will tell me. I had well, still have her, a beautiful hibiscus. And one of the leaves turned black, just one. And it was in the house. I was like, oh, what it, I don't know what it caught, but we're gonna go ahead and get rid of it. So my plant, when I tell you my plants speak to me, I can move them. I can, and then that's, it's not just my plants. Even I hug trees. I
Mhm.
may see a tree. I may be driving, and I can pass a tree that'll speak to me. I will bust a U-turn, right? Go park and go sit up with the tree. Go hug the tree and really tap in, and you feel it. You feel the frequency that's on. You feel the vibration, and that's that.
Yeah.
It's love. That's what it is. It's love, and it's the love that you have within yourself. you being able to connect to spirit, to your higher self, to the most high, just constantly evolving. So yeah, I love my plants.
Oh, that's good. I love that too. I got how many do I have now? Four. I got two golden pathos that are growing like crazy. I had to
Yes.
I couldn't keep plants alive before when I was on my healing journey. So these are
Mhm.
living. I got two other ones too. So
Yeah.
I'm like you right. Like all of a sudden when I tapped into the herbal realm and when I was right within, they like, okay,
Mhm.
we'll live with you.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. We'll leave with
before they
you.
was like, nah, you your
Yep.
energy off,
Yep.
But
They
now
will.
they doing their thing, and I love it. I love having them in the house. So I think
Uh-huh.
that's amazing that you got that kind of that relationship because that is a spiritual
Uh-huh.
relationship
It
too.
is.
It's another spiritual realm. I tell people
Mhm.
that all the time. We're in between universes, in universes. We got the ocean, that's a whole nother spiritual realm there. You got the
Mhm.
herbs, that's a whole nother spiritual realm. The earth,
Mhm.
the trees, which hold and store information of hundreds and
Absolutely.
thousands of years, some of them. And so, yeah, so to
Yeah,
really
we
connect with
have a
all that.
world happening. Our ancestors, there's a world that exists simultaneously with this one. Many of
Yep,
them. So if people, it's like tapped in when you understand that, that consciousness is everywhere,
yep,
and it's in other dimensions. There's dimensions literally happening simultaneously with
yep,
this one. That's the reason why the more as we build and as we evolve and as we break out, right, when people have these awakenings, when you break out and the higher you get, right, then it's almost kind of like you're untouchable, right? They can't, those that are vibrating low can't even touch you. They
that's
can't
right.
see you. They can't even be in your space. So I don't know if you feel like this now. When I was getting beat up, can't nobody beat me up now.
Hmm.
I'm a warrior to the core.
That's
And
right.
now my presence, like I can rattle spirits. Spirits get rattled with me now because once you break through and you know yourself, they
Yep,
know their spirit knows your spirit. And their spirit knows that you know
yep,
yourself and you're so bright, you're so shiny that you automatically shine this light on them to where they see themselves and they get rattled by it. Right. So
yep.
you rattle spirits like you're a walking piece of garlic. So it's
Yep,
like
literally. When you
for
getting pushed
real.
out of spaces, that's me
Yeah.
everywhere I go. Like
Yeah.
work, they always trying to dim my light. I have to check them.
Uh-huh. And
Different places. Yep,
nothing ever happens. Nothing ever happens. They wind up beating themselves up. And I
that's
always
right.
tell people if I have to return the sender, right? I make a point, right, to be ethical with my own powers. So
Right.
if I return the sender, it's always going to be to the magnitude of their intent. And
Exactly.
I'll be trying to tell people, listen, be
That's
lucky that I'm
enough.
saying that because if it was to the magnitude of my intent, you're going to die. That's on
Exactly.
me. So I'm
Exactly.
just like, and it doesn't always have to be a physical death. You can die financially,
That's right.
you can die in all different areas of life. So it's like, you just be mindful. People have to be mindful on who they're dealing with. But when you're dealing with, demonic spirits, they don't care. A lot
Hmm.
of times, the stronger you are, even when you break free, you're never really free from that type of danger because with some of them, the stronger you are, the more they're attracted to you because your strength is something now that they can try, they want that,
Yep.
so
And I had an ex that was like that. I swear he used to be getting possessed by something because he would turn into a beast, and
yeah.
he would like literally he would become a beast, and he would say some horrible stuff, and like we would just get to warring at it, and it would always be when I was the crazy thing about it, it would always be when I was having a download or I was had some
Yeah,
sort of
yeah,
spiritual
yeah.
insight, and I'm like, why are we arguing?
Yeah. That
I'm like,
mask,
what?
you
And he
triggered
would
it, you
get
start triggering their spirit.
Yes, I recorded him one day because he would always afterwards he would be like, "Oh, I don't remember that." I'm like, "You don't remember that?" So
Yes.
I ended up recording him on a couple of occasions. I'm like, "Listen,
Mhm.
this is who you become." But anyway, it was one of them things. My ancestors was like, "Get out of there. This
Get
ain't
out of
never
here,
gonna work." They
right.
couldn't stand him. They and
Right.
rightfully
Like,
so.
and they will tell you, look, you either leave or we gonna handle it. You be like, all
Right,
right,
exactly. And they get, it's gonna be messy if they do it.
all right. Right.
So, but I'm grateful for that, because it was a learning lesson in that necessary too. But that was the first time I had ever really dealt with a narcissist before, and I feel like
Mhm.
they truly be getting possessed. That's the only way I
Well,
could
they're
think about it.
demons.
Yeah, literally. And then I even told somebody else, I think I was like, I really don't think there's any healing for them. I don't think they are capable of healing. So that's the only people I would say that about.
Well,
But
I mean,
yeah,
they probably don't. And when you think about it, it's not even that they need healing because in their world, they're healed. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So it's
true.
kind of
Because
like that's where that duality comes
they
in.
really do think ain't nothing
Yeah.
wrong with them.
So that's where, and honestly, that's where the duality comes in this crazy place. We, not that we need them, but they're here for a reason,
That's true.
right? And if you want to get deep into, we can talk about the woman and the who's God, right? Who's God?
Yeah,
Who's the most high? And I had a teacher ask me, well, how many creators are there? I'm a God, you're a God. How many creators are there? We could say it's one. We all make up the all. So in a sense, they didn't just make themselves. You know what I
that's
mean?
true.
So they're a big part of this system. And without them, we would never come into our higher
That's
selves
true.
because in order to go higher, you have to go lower. And in order to go lower, you have to have something that's that goddamn low to even drag you down there to
Yeah.
know, that you're low. So now I can go down there and cut all the lights on. I have no problem. I have no problem going downstairs and fucking them up because I always say I know my way back up,
Yep.
and I'm good in any hood,
Yep.
so I'm not scared of them, even when they try to, because they know who I am too. They feel
Yep.
your spirit, and you want to go toe to toe, we could do it because you can't beat the light.
That's
You
right.
because
You
they're
can't.
scared of it. They're scared.
Yep.
They're vampires for real. They're scared of the light. So once they know that you'll light their ass up, then they never back off. They usually try to find back doors. But when you have eyes all over the place, like, remember back in the days, like your grandma got eyes in the back of her head. That
Right.
came from somewhere.
Yep.
You see everything. So as long as you know your way back upstairs,
That's right.
and that's what warriors do. I can I can sit there and I can do that. Some people, like even just healers on a more I guess soothing level, right? Ascend and get away from them because
Hmm.
honestly, some people are not strong enough to deal with them. They'll constantly get sucked back in. So when you're out, you have to be out. You have to, continue to evolve, continue to be, let your spirit
That's right.
guides guide you and get away from them. Not everybody can go toe to toe with them.
That's true. That's very true.
Yeah.
And I truly think that, like you said, nothing can beat the light, but
Yeah.
you got to get through the dark to get to the light.
Yes,
And that's the bottom
absolutely.
line. So that's like mastering that level. Like some people
Yes.
get stuck in there, some people get caught and overtaken,
Hmm.
and then those vampiric energies just go find some more light.
Right.
It's like, well, you're useless now to me. I need another
Right.
energy source. you know, I got
Yep.
what I need to get out of you. And so that's the thing. And then of course, you like you said, you're still learning.
Yeah.
You need
Constantly.
these microcosms of the macrocosm in order for
Yeah.
you to grow and
Yeah.
learn. So if you are getting knocked down and you get back up, that's that warrior spirit
Yep.
until you get to the other side where it's like, okay, I'm tired of getting knocked down. I'm gonna
Yeah.
stay up.
Yeah,
like,
that's what it is now. I'm up.
like,
Like I've been through, listen, we didn't even get to the core. I've been through a lot,
yeah,
and everything that I've been through makes every bit of sense on where I am today,
yep,
mentally and physically. Where I am today makes so much sense. I'm so grateful for it because this life is about lessons that we're supposed to learn. Not everybody can learn lessons. They're not
nope,
supposed to because they're not, this life is for those that are alive, and we're not dealing with people, we're not dealing with, not everyone has a soul.
that's
We
right.
all have spirit, but not everyone has a
Not
soul,
everybody
and
has a soul.
they don't. And our job is to get our light. Our heart is light as a feather, and that requires us to learn. It requires us to grow, and it requires us to have faith in our journey, right? Because the goal is to get, you know, ascend, right, to our higher selves and
Yep,
and meet up with the Most High. And That's what I'm on.
I love it.
It's nothing else to life but that lesson. That's why I'm here. Right. And the
That's
other
what's up.
side for me is that's everlasting life, and I know that that's where I'm headed. I wouldn't have it any other way. I don't want to be down here with no with the soulless.
I don't
I
even
don't
want to
even
be
like
in
them.
3D. I'm like trying to
Yeah, I don't want to be.
get on the 5D
Yeah,
with the
right.
rest
I
of
don't
us
have.
and
Listen, I do not want to. I don't want to deal with it, and that goes for anyone. I have family that I don't even deal with.
yep.
Like when I tell you getting beat up, I'm talking from childhood. So
Mhm.
there's, I know for a fact, I've seen it that I'm here. I chose this for a reason, like many of us have. We don't have these roads just for no reason.
You were
It's for us to,
chosen, I would say.
yes,
And you agreed.
and we have catalysts that lead us to that. And when we're chosen, it's because we have a choice and we chose ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Our whole authentic self,
I
right?
love it.
And yeah,
I always talk about that. To be chosen is to choose yourself.
yes.
And that's that journey that you just described. Everybody got a story.
Mm.
I talk a lot about it on other episodes. I've been through a
Mhm.
lot,
Me
okay, as well. To be all sitting here like looking like,
Yes, you don't look like what
mishealed,
you've
like
been through.
no, like I've been on the journey now for over 20 years and I
Yeah,
never gave up. And I was
yeah.
hearing, just keep pushing it. It was a lot of a lot of dark stuff, trying to
And many
prevent me from getting
awakenings,
here.
right?
Many, many awakenings, but
Many awakenings.
I never gave up. Like you said, this was the journey. This is what I signed up for. This is what I was chosen to do.
Yeah.
And, I had to break a lot of generational curses and, and so forth and so forth. But I'm here now
Hmm.
and I don't, like you said, we up, we stay
Yep.
up and right on time too, because like I said, we're going into fifth density, and
Yes.
I'm not trying to be down here in three. Like they gonna be crazy looping
I'm,
karma.
the same thing is I'm not. That's what's so crazy is I'm so disconnected, and I go live sometime. I never save my lives because I always feel like who's supposed to be on air is on air. But I go live and I speak about how after my awakening, my dark night of the soul awakening, I haven't been the same since. I've done a 360. Like if you people who knew me before, it's been so drastic. I'm not the same. I'm not even a part of this world. I'm not a part of
I love it.
any of this. When you break out and you call it the matrix, right? When you break out of it, there's nothing. I don't play the 3D game. I don't play it.
I love it.
I'm not here. I don't even feel the same. Like I don't even feel here. Like when you say 3D, I don't even feel it. So it's
Yeah.
so funny how it doesn't affect me on those types of levels. Of course we live in this reality, right? This
Right.
reality is all of us, we're all experiencing the same, well, similar realities. But when you break out and you experience other realities, in other
Yes.
realms, and you experience that like seriously, and you're able to tap out or tap in, I should say, it's like you don't have to be a part of this world. I don't play any of these games, right? The whole system is narcissistic. This
Yeah,
is a
it is very much
narcissistic
so.
system,
Very
right?
much
And
so.
yeah, and narcissism is just a fancy word for for evil, for demon. And
Hmm.
you want to get biblical, it's spoken about, if you want to do that. But yeah, I don't play any of it, none
Good
of
for
it.
you. And I don't either, except for like you said, we live in. So then when I go
Yes.
to work, I feel like I'm just clocking in 3D,
No,
like
right. But
just
yeah,
for the day. And but I work from home, so that's good. Little do
good.
they know I be divinations and candles blowing and doing all kind of stuff behind the
Yep.
scenes to keep things afloat until
Yeah.
I clock back out. So
Yes.
yeah, I mean, you said a lot of good stuff.
Yes. Thank
A
you.
lot of good stuff, and this is what you talk about a lot on your TikTok,
Hmm.
as well as your Instagram. I think you got more followers on Instagram. So you do go
Hmm.
live on both or just one?
No, just one. I honestly just got on TikTok not too long ago.
Okay.
I got a few months ago, so I was like, let me try it again, and it's cool over there. But
Yeah, I like
I go
TikTok too.
and I don't go live all the time. A lot of people be like, oh, you should do this, you do this. But honestly, my throat chakra is not always open,
Yeah,
so I only go live when I feel called to go live, and
yeah,
I rarely save them. So I don't have a set time frame. And I'm noticing TikTok is more one of those things where you're kind of
yeah.
like one of
They
those,
reward
I
you
don't
for that.
yeah
But
I
you know
don't
what?
have.
Like you said, you're spirit led.
Yeah,
And
so it's
don't
just
get
hard for
into
me to,
getting
yeah,
performative, stay who you
right,
are, because it's
right,
easy to get sucked into becoming a influencer celebrity and
right,
losing
yeah,
purpose. Yeah, so I think you're doing it just like you when spirit move you to do it. That's the same way I am with
yeah.
the meditations and stuff. So that's
Sometimes
what's
I feel
up.
like I could do more, but I'm like, I can't get on a schedule to do it because I always have to feel called and
Right.
then I can drop it. So it's like,
I love that though. I love the fact that you move by spirit. I
yeah.
wish I could hear more of that on social media. Like people say, "Oh, spirit moved me to do this live." No, we don't hear
I'm
that. You
gonna
got
start
people
opening it up
performing.
with that.
Yeah,
Thank you
you know,
so much for inviting me on this show. I really
you are so
appreciate your time
welcome.
and sharing space with me.
Yes, I appreciate you, and you shared a lot with us. And so, my audience, I got her contact information down in the description as usual. And then,
Yes.
of course, this is where you can follow her. And then tell us a little bit about what you got going on, what you offer to your clients, and how they
Yeah.
can reach you.
So I do I guess you could say like spiritual consultations. I do not do reading. I don't myself do not open myself up to that, but I do intuitive coaching spiritually. I do of course firearms instruction. So I do self-defense coaching. Self-defense, all bold letters, anything that has to do with yourself journeying through, whether if it's physical environments that you need to be able to protect yourself, that's with like firearms or knives, or even just mentality, right? If it's something you're stuck in, it can be spiritual, it can be anything that's blocking you, I can help you with that. So yeah, so I'm a coach, and that's what I do. I just don't like using that word, but I am of service, put it that way, when it comes to self-defense, mentally, physically, and spiritually.
Awesome. All right. Well, y'all know what to do. You know where to find Lou. And it has been an amazing conversation. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your experience with my audience. And that is it, y'all. Until
Yes.
the next episode.
Yes.
Bye.